It's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective. It's my perspective. Yeah, yo, am I wrong or is it just you? Or did my life show me some things that gave me my view? And if I went through what you went through, would I be you? I don't know. That's too many questions with no answer, but plenty chances for many lessons. Am I willing to learn that it's all perception? That the picture that I paint ain't the one that you sketching? So can we disagree without drawing a weapon? Long as I can understand that it's just your perspective. Yeah, it's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective.
Hey everybody, welcome to My Perspective Friday, and today's topic is working from home more beneficial for employees or companies? For example, we got 3 examples. Does it create independence, or is it a conduit to create isolation? Does it create productivity, or does it create laziness? And does it even help the bottom line? So we got our team here, and I'm going to start my question with Larry. How you doing today, Larry?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about your own self?
I'm doing outstanding. Thank you.
Tired of saying it's football season, Larry. You keep showing me that damn Bronco seat.
Lord.
Look at that.
Here we go.
God.
That must be the man cave, Larry. That's the man cave.
Actually, this is just a bedroom, but no, a good friend of mine plays for the Broncos.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
By the way, his name is Mike Boone, number 26, running back.
I already forgot who he was. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, well, I can say it again if you want.
All right, Larry.
Come
What
on,
do you
plug
think?
it real good. Plug it real good.
No, years ago, I worked from home for a while. I was in the computer business, and that's back when that first started, working from home. And at that time, you were able to get a full day's production by working at home in a couple of hours because you didn't have disruptions, unless you got kids running around. But for the most part, you didn't have disruptions and you got a lot done. And you're able to sit there and focus. I believe people have gotten to the point now where I don't think it's quite like that anymore. Like, you have people that just don't want to work at all anymore, which is why there's so much trouble finding employees. And I believe that people tend to take advantage of it. See, personally, I would never do that. But I just believe it's the culture now.
Okay.
And I'm sure you guys disagree with that, but
Well,
I
agree.
Some good points in there.
You know what? I'm an employee relations consultant for an unnamed organization. We will not name it on here. And my job is to I'm trying to keep my job. My job is to, when there's work from home issues, try to find out, does that team member supposed to get some type of corrective action? Do they get terminated? Do we bring them back into the office? So there's been plenty of scenarios that from what you mentioned, Larry, that has happened like that. Team members, the customer service representative, talking to a customer about a $1.2 million account, and you could hear her baby crying in the background. I dealt with something like that. But then in the same breath, a team member who is, an employee who is, when they was in the office, they sucked at working. And then when they went home, their productivity went sky high because they didn't have any distractions, and they didn't have that mental blinders that you can keep at your job, that you're supposed to have at your job to function. So when he went home, his production went sky high. I mean, what do you think, Tila?
Sometimes it might be based on a person, if this is their first time working from home, that's something they're not used to, and they just need that transition period. Because some people cannot work from home. They can't focus from home. They need that interaction with people and people they can talk to, call on. So being at home in silence is not the place for them. And then sometimes it depends on what the actual job is, Certain jobs people feel like they can't do from home. But some people, like you said, get home, no distractions, let me do what I need to do, and I'm done. I don't have to worry about anybody else. And I get more done because I work from home. I've been working from home for many years, and I feel like I get more done than I would when I'm at work inside on
Well,
site.
if a person's disciplined, they can work from home and be very, very professional about it and be productive.
Right.
You know, but
I'm undisciplined and I work from home.
He said I'm undisciplined. Yes.
yes, you are undisciplined. And see, people need to watch this before we go on the air.
I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I am very undisciplined, and I go
undisciplined to what? Undisciplined to what?
When I started working from home, my PlayStation time went up from when I didn't work from home. But like Tequila was saying, it really depends on what the job is. We can't blank canvas it. It really depends on what the job is. I have a friend that works in the medical field, and his job is literally to call and check up on patients. They do that in the office. Every time they have to work from home, he's doing the same exact thing. The only difference is he's not commuting to work, sitting at his desk, and then commuting back to work and going somewhere for lunch. He's doing the same exact thing because they're paid by how many calls, how many calls, and they can only make so many calls. So it's an easy thing for him. Working from home, when we talk about beneficial to the employer and employee, again, it's what kind of business it is. Right. I work in the entertainment business. I know a lot of casting directors and a lot of agents who used to pay for a building. But now, because of the thing that happened, the panorama, they're like, why was I paying for this building all the time when I can just meet people online? So some of them are saving $10,000 a month on a building when they can meet that person online and not have to pay that type of bill. So it really depends on what type of business it is. And if like y'all were saying, that person's disciplined. Some people can work from home. Some people can't. It's the same with college. Some people can handle online college, and some people need to be in the physical building and have that person talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And I wouldn't even call it like a generational thing. Like older people like to work from home, younger people like to be in the building. It's like it doesn't even matter. I met people that's 21 that's doing work from home for no issues, and I met somebody that's like around my age, be like, I can't do it. My wife is a retiree, and I can't do this because she's in my ear.
Why he said the 21-year-old, and then when he got to his example, he ain't say no age.
Right, he just like went there, right? But talked about the wife and and the retiree, all right. But he just put himself somewhere in the middle, okay. But let me say this: that there are clearly, we have to look at this major transition to working from home as having been caused as a result of the panorama, as and I think that this can be kind of a lopsided assessment of the benefit to one to the other because it was a forced situation. But I do know that there are major companies, John, it doesn't matter whether it's entertainment or not. There are major companies that discovered, while I've got employees working at home, I'm not having to pay for all of the fixed costs associated with the building, the utilities, the this or that. However, there are times that I would imagine sooner or later they will have to assess whether paying those costs enable them to maintain a certain level of productivity versus whether there was a change in the productivity when so many employees were, forced to work from home. I think there are different spirits. Entrepreneurs can probably work just about anywhere they need to work. If you got to work in a bathroom, you will figure out how to do something. But I agree. There are so many so many jobs where the interaction, I still believe that personal interaction is important in life in general, not just for work situations, but personal situations. And I do believe that the isolation that comes from working from home will stymie some people, some more than others.
Right.
Well, even before the panorama, I know some what the panorama did was force expedience of some things. I know entertainment was going more digital, but there were a lot of companies, like we said, depending on the job, like a call center. You know, you're used to having these big call centers or doing it overseas or having these big call centers here. But we started to see before that happened, a lot of them offering to have people work from home, and they'd send you the kit and you put on your little headset and you work from home. So depending on the job. And then one thing that I was talking about before we came on the show, again, leadership. I hate people who want to be in leadership and management positions and get the pay but not do the job. You know, again, that comes under leadership.
Right.
I don't blame an employee who's home being lazy if they're not being managed properly. That's someone gets paid to manage those people. I never, ever blame employees. If they're a terrible employee, then I'm not doing my job. If I do my job and they're still terrible, then I get rid of them. But, you know, so it goes back to that middle person as well.
John, I got a question for you. So do you believe that Keone. I don't know who the hell is John.
She said bathroom one time, and we keep saying the name for bathroom. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry.
It's the Alzheimer's.
Sorry, team.
He's getting old, folks. It's the memory. He thinks I'm his nephew.
Well, he said from 21 to, his age, and he didn't give it out. So we know how that goes.
He is the oldest person on the crew.
He's still checking on this, right?
Back to my question, Keone. Do you believe that not managers, but organizations are bringing people back to work in the office for, as in the military, we call it the esprit de corps, for the camaraderie, to make sure, to get people known around each other? Or do you believe that they're bringing people back to the office because they have a bottom line in meet? For example, they may have brought a 30-year lease on a building and they can't get out of that lease.
Well, I believe it's a mixture of both, but mainly, again, good leadership. They're going to look at it and see which is more beneficial, because you can still have camaraderie at home. We all work, and me and Tila work for the same company, and we have events where we go and all meet up and do stuff like that for camaraderie, to remember that we're all one team. But when you sit down and look at it, if your production has been suffering and you were primarily an in-house company, of course you're going to change back. If your production is just the same or booming, why change if you don't have a drop-off? That's just smart leadership. So I don't think there's a forcing of it. If they're making that decision, it's because they have to. Because I've been in a business where we had to eat a lease, but we were getting it so much better on the back end. We're like, whatever.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. So, that all comes to that. And there are so many companies down here already that make so much money on things that they don't even have. Look at Uber. How does Uber make money? They have someone else drive their own vehicle, pay their own insurance,
right?
And they get a cut of the money because they have the app. Like, why did I think of that?
Right. That's why a lot of companies, they are transitioning into telecommute, where you may work 2 on site, 3 off site, or however.
That's what we do. We do 3. We do 3 and 2.
Yeah, so that way you can kind of have the best of both worlds. And if you do need that camaraderie, you need that face-to-face for people like that. But then you have some companies, it's hard, like Larry said earlier, to get them back in the building. I don't think it's all about laziness and not getting people to work. They're just gotten used to being at home, love that specific spot of like, I get to do what I need to do and the time I need to do it. Don't have to worry about everybody else. And why should I go back? So it's like, if I was getting the job done here, why do I need to go back? So it's not all about laziness. It's just they've just gotten used to that specific area of business.
Lynn, I hate it
as well.
So. I hate it because I'd never planned on sitting at my desk for 10 hours a day for 5 days a week. I didn't see my ankle from 2020 to 2022 from sitting down. You know,
the jokes write themselves.
No, it's not. It's healthy. Also, it's not the healthiest thing in the world. You sit, you get up, you have a cup of coffee, you sit at your computer, you order Uber Eats. I was spending so much money in Uber Eats and not exercising and moving. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So John, excuse me, Keone. Keone. So what you're saying is that you believe that in the long run, people need to go into the office.
No, I believe in what the hell is a Keone? Damn. What is going on? Tila,
we probably
tell him how to say my name, Tila.
Go ahead, say it. Say his name.
Keone.
Say it again.
You can say
Say it again.
You can say Keone, you can say Keone, but Keone, Keone.
Where did that come from?
Hey, that comes from that. I'm sorry, I have this crazy accent that comes out every now and then from New Jersey.
Last week I told him he couldn't do what he did before last show, so he can't get his stuff together.
We're supposed to be telling our business here. We're supposed to be telling our.
Hey, Larry. Wait, was Larry here when Sean made that terrible bet with us?
Yeah. No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
I didn't pay Larry.
Larry.
No.
Sean said something on
You gonna tell this on the air?
Yeah, you're darn right. Sean said something, and then he said he didn't say it. And we all said, yes, you did. He said, I bet you I didn't. We said, well, he said, I'll give every one of you $100 if I said it. So I went ahead and screen shared and played it back. And he said it. So, when
he had to pay up.
His phone instantly blew up with Cash App requests.
If you have 5 people and 4 out of 5 people are telling you the opposite, just go with it.
I had to stick to it. Hey, you know what, Larry? I was a man of my word. Everybody got their money. Lynn, you got your money. Keone, you got your money.
I did.
Who else was on there?
I was the last person even to request.
Actually, you know what? You know what? You was and Keone, he wasn't going to say anything to. Who brought it up again? Deshaun. Deshaun brought it up.
Well, see, I think
Deshaun was like, and then Lynn was like, "Oh, well, let me go and put mine in it."
And I was like, "Well, look, let me. If you really doing this, okay, let me go ahead and put mine in."
Like, I'm not going to be the one when 2 months later when we talk about it, and I was the one that didn't get it.
Right.
He had to remind me. He said, "Tila, I still ain't got your Cash App." I said,
Sean, you know where I was when I got it?
Where?
I was working from home.
Right. Working from home.
I was able to contribute to your financial stability.
Still not seeing your ankles.
That's it.
Hey, you know
So
what?
now when you work from home, you have these apps. You got to kind of people forget they still need to move. Get up. Walk around, get some fresh air. Because I do, when I am working from home, I do feel a little isolated, especially when my kids go back to school. When my kids are home, it's different because I hear noise, I got things going on. But then it reminds me to take a minute, go outside, get some fresh air, do something else besides look at the computer screen, talk to frustrating people to get your mind a little rest.
I wonder if workers' comp is tricky for businesses if you're working from home and you get hurt. That's a tricky situation. I wonder what kind of rules and
there's a documentation that you sign before you work from home, and some of them may have some letters of responsibility saying if you work from home and this happened to you, only thing we're responsible for is for you to have a nice desk, an ergonomic desk, or something like that. So I'm pretty sure since this work from home became into play, organizations was like, you know what? We need to protect ourselves because this knucklehead may get drunk and trip over his kid's Tonka truck.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on what your job is. Because carpal tunnel was a part of workman's comp sometimes. And if you're on the computer all day, no matter if you're at home or in the office, it still applies.
Yeah. Tunnel.
Well,
what is it? Carpal tunnel?
You got to sign documents to work from home?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just. Well, again, Larry, it depends on what you're doing. Some people they have company equipment they have to take to their house. You're responsible for that stuff. You got to sign that you got to sign out what you're taking, responsibilities that you have of maintaining that stuff and reporting it. Because some people, like you said, lazy. Some people will break something that can be taken care of by the company, but they don't want to say anything, so it just stays broke. Yeah, there's all kind of things you have to sign. Probably sure, especially if you're someone who's working online, you probably have to have in there of what's an acceptable background. What can happen? You can't be representing a company sitting in your living room with a marijuana leaf on a poster on the back of the video, depending on the company.
And they have monitors. A lot of companies have monitors that pop in to see what's going on, and they report what they see, what they hear.
And Larry, the most important part of that contract, at the very bottom of that contract, it states, probably 99.9% of them states, at any time we can break this contract to bring you back to the office.
So you're working at home under contract?
Yes, pretty much.
You're at work.
Oh,
yes.
Back when I was doing it, they just said, "Hey, just stay home, do your thing there."
Well, Larry, those computers were also the size of the house.
Well, yes, they were, and believe it or not, that's exactly what I worked on was those computers.
Lynn, you could literally turn off the monitor and walk inside of those computers.
Craziness. But still, if you really think about it, Larry, even when you're working on site, when your first day, you have all these papers to sign. A lot of people don't read it, but it's still some type of contract that tells you certain things that go on inside the building. You bring this, you bring a weapon. If we hear you doing certain things on the phone, and it's still a contract. Even when you're on site.
Lynn, do you agree every time these gas prices go up, people who work from home are happy they work from home?
Now, I would tell you absolutely that. Absolutely. Well, and over the past week, because of what I've been involved in and where I've had to go, I can tell you whether I'm going a mile, where I got to go work at this point with the parking rates being what they are at this point. I was in a work complex, and I'm wondering, that has a lot of service workers, and I'm looking at people driving in, parking for so many hours, and then having to go out so they can come back to have a more reduced rate. If you miss whatever validation you can get, who can pay $25 a day?
True. Some of them worse than that.
But that's just going there. But I know that's what I'm saying. Forget gas. At this point, think about what it's costing to pay to park and eat on premise. So there's a lot of benefit to being at home. Obviously saving gas, saving parking fees, you can go to your fridge versus eat out.
Hey, if you're one of these people that have to sit on that highway in Atlanta or LA or New York or Miami and you work from home, you might be happy. Someone from Facebook says, I have worked from home within the last 7 years and never had to sign a special contract. You got to remember, we also said really depends on your job too. What job you have. Some jobs you have to, some jobs you don't. I'm pretty sure, like, for instance, my friend that works in the medical field, because there's so many things, HIPAA, and all types of other things that have to be discussed in the home, he's got to sign some contracts because you don't know who's at someone's house while you're talking about, patients' confidential.
And you have to have security. You got to make sure they have security measures. So you got to make sure all the equipment they send you is all company based, and you're responsible for it. Yep.
And be sure to know that the customer on the other end is listening in your background. So if anything happens to their money, they're going to be like, you were distracted because I hear your brother yelling at you about some cigarettes or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Cello, hold on, Cello. That was you in the comments, Cello. You should jump on here, Cello, because Cello worked in the medical field for a long time. as a physician. But anyway, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was going to mention the Facebook post, but
and
it goes back to
those contracts are hidden in those annual reports, and because every year you have to sign something to update something, update that, and people forget to read it. And sometimes it's in those forms that you're filling out annually that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
I wanted, if I could, for a moment, to go back to Keone's observation that really related to some outcomes that you don't expect from working from home. And that is how much you're sitting, how much that takes away from the physical activity that you really need. My other question becomes, and I don't know that we can find an answer. I don't know if there'll be a study. I'm sure that people that are doing it would never own up to possibly thinking about how the isolation or the being home alone, basically working and not within the actual environment, how that impacts you, not just from a work point of view, but from a socialization point of view. Where are we all going to come out, at the end of, if you will, if there is this panorama where people have gotten acclimated to being home, doing everything from home, to at oftentimes being too afraid to be outside. But what's happened to your physical being, your mental being as a result of that?
You know what?
Time passes so fast. Like, you start that day. When I first started working from home, I had a plan. I'm going to get up, I'm going to exercise, then I'm going to shower, get on the computer, do that. I'm going to take a quick lunch break, get back on, stop at a decent time, and then do all the stuff that I did when I wasn't working from home. It never worked out that way. Right. The amount of time that stuff kept coming up and I haven't been on a computer. So I had to make that decision. At least this is where it started. Every day for lunch, I would walk to go eat somewhere. So that's where it started. I would go walk to go eat somewhere. Every day from lunch, I had started that. I've gotten away from it over the last month, but I'm going to get back to it. And I thought that physical labor would be the most damaging for like my back and hips and all that. No, sitting here in one spot is not good.
Right.
It's not good.
Right.
And then also you have to remember the peoples that are working from home or outside of home, their personality traits. Because like for me and my daughter, we two opposites, right? She's a extrovert. She loves to be around people. That's her thing. That's her niche. It's like, I got to be around people. I can't just sit in the house all day long. She has to have that. So like when she was in college and it went to online, it was like, oh my God, what is happening? I need someone she needed that. Whereas me, I don't like people. So I'm that extrovert don't happen to me. So I'm like, I don't care if you're here around me. I love to be by myself. Isolate me. I'm good. When I want to be around you, I know where to find the people I want to be around, because I don't like people. And I know that's bad to say, but I've always been an introvert. I've always been antisocial unless I want to be around you. So that doesn't bother me. So it also has to do, when you talk about the mental capacity of it all, what's your personality? What works for you and what doesn't?
Drives me crazy. You know me. I need people to talk to.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Don't you get me started, Tila.
Huh? How many times I called you today?
But one of the things, Tila, one of the things that's different though is that you are still of a generation where you learned how to socialize.
Right.
Where your entire life was not spent solo.
Right.
Or where your adult years, your maturing years were not spent just being you. You
was always being you. Even at family reunions, everybody say, where's she at? And she's back there in the back room. Well, why is she out here with family? Because I don't want to be around you.
But you know that. But you know that. But
I know that.
But you know how to be around people.
And I want to be around people. I can be around people. I can be like in and out.
They socialize today. They just have a different way of socializing.
Right.
But I was just looking at this Facebook comment that said, Heaven said that I believe that everything will change due to more companies are selling on employees working from home. I guess, and this goes back to what Keone said. You know, you kind of wonder what the daggone what different studies have shown. We understand that working from home had produced a lot of things. We already know that this panorama, as you call it, has brought out different things in people.
Produce more babies.
Produce more babies? Is that what he said?
We do have the COVID babies. Yeah, well, that's another story. Oh man, that would be a good story. The COVID
That's
babies.
another topic.
Yes, it is. Somebody write it. Damn,
I got
COVID
it down.
babies.
I got it down.
But like, but the you know, we was already in a, I would say, I'm gonna say this delicately, a political conundrum before COVID, and then when COVID hit, it created different stories, different backstories of why you infringing on my benefits, working from home, politics, everything. It brought out different conversations from people that you did not know strongly felt about that. So I believe that working from home, when it was actually forced, it brought out, it said, you know what? I don't think I need to, work from home and do this or everything, or wear a mask. If it was forced, it kind of brought out something different.
All right. You know what? I agree with you, but I'm going to twist it. I don't think it brought it out. It's just people who weren't on social media as much as others were seeing it, because everything people were talking about over those last 2 years. Oh yeah, it's been on here. Welcome to the party. Where you been?
It's just you be able to see it because you're not at work.
Right. And you know what? It was so funny. 6 months in, when I would have, because we were teaching online, I would have a student complaining about, this is terrible. I said, you know what? I was in Hurricane Andrew. We had no electricity for 9 months. I didn't see my friends for like 4 or 5 months. You're stuck in the house with your PlayStation 5 and your Xbox and your Netflix and your Hulu.
And you can FaceTime and still see your friends.
And what? And so but you don't know the hardship if you haven't been in the other hardship. So I can't rail on them for not knowing it, because I'm pretty sure when I was complaining during Hurricane Andrew, there was somebody says, at least you have gas stoves. We didn't have gas stoves.
Right.
It's always going to be somebody saying you don't know how it was. Wait till the people who went through the panorama as teenagers, when something happens 30 years from now, when those teenagers are complaining, they're going to be like, what?
I had the Black Plague.
Yeah, because I tell my kids, I said, what you mean? You still get to see them because you have FaceTime. We didn't have FaceTime. Right. You can hear them, but we couldn't see them. You still kind of interact on FaceTime.
The biggest thing we had was three-way calling. Remember when that came out?
Right.
Oh, bro, you know what I used to do before that? When I used to try to call, I have a friend, she used to do this too. So I was so tickled when she told me. When I tried to call somebody back in the day and it was like the line was busy, this is what
No, you don't.
Yes,
no, you don't.
This is what I need an emergency breakthrough.
All right, New Edition. He's still on that New Edition vibe.
And it would break.
The telephone man. Okay.
Yes. We remember that.
Yes, like the collect calls when I would, my mom would pick up the phone and would say, you have a collect call from pick me up from school.
Yes.
You got a collect call from University State Prison.
You would say what you wanted your parents to do so they wouldn't have to collect it. You have a collect call from pick me up from the mall.
Right.
They had a commercial like that.
Look at Larry. He's so innocent. He's like, I never did these things.
I never did that.
Upstanding pillar of the community.
No, I remember back we had party lines, but.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Talk about Mr. Telephone Man.
Don't do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
What was Sweet Bleak Larry doing on the party line?
Oh, you'd have, maybe 3 or 4 families on the same phone call.
Oh, okay. Families. Okay. All right.
Other households. You listen for a certain ring. Otherwise, if it was somebody else's ring, then you wouldn't answer it. Allegedly.
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 Allegedly. Yeah. They don't remember They remember. It's okay.
No, I used to hate when my mom used to pick up the phone and clearly hear me having a conversation. Go, are you on the phone?
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
You know.
But you know what? A lot of companies and businesses, because I know when I work for the companies I work for, I let the people, my clients, know that I work from home, and you may hear my kids. You may. And most people, oh, I understand, we're good. So even though they have monitors and people coming on, because some people are really afraid. Because I had a younger cousin was like working in telemarketing, and it's like, I feel like I'm gonna get fired if they hear any noise. I'm like, people understand. People understand. You just can't have no outrageous stuff going on.
Yeah,
so
and
I know I always make my
now.
clients aware that I work from home. You may hear this, hear that, but and they're like, oh, it's fine. My kids back here too. It's okay. You know, so I don't think it's as big of a company issue when it comes to some of those contracts that people are afraid. I see people talking about, I don't sign a contract, you gotta sign a contract. Because people know that now because of the panoramic.
It's more weary. I think it's more weary for the Tila. You think it's more weary for the people because there's two types of work from home. There's people who are making phone calls. You can't see me, but it's the ones that are working on video. That's the big difference. You know, it's one thing if your child makes a noise in the background. It's another thing if he's chasing the cat around behind you during the whole meeting.
Yeah.
You know what?
Think that happened too.
Hey, Tila, I don't
know
the
naked baby running through the background.
Oh, like, yeah, now that part.
One day, and one of the kids, her father didn't realize it, and he walks by the camera in his boxers. I got a room full of students.
But you know what? You are absolutely right, because how many Zoom calls have gotten people fired or suspended? Tila, who was that person on CNN that got suspended because he thought the Zoom call was done and he was doing some self-maintenance?
I can't remember, but I do remember that. But it's been some Zoom calls also that has helped people. Like they go into some type of health issue. Yeah. And then they know it has helped some people too. So I've known a person who's had a heart attack on the Zoom call. And because we know who they are, we know exactly who to call, you know, to get somebody to assist them as well. Whereas if it was just a phone call, like, hello, you there? Hello, you wouldn't know what was happening. So it's
I believe that guy you were talking about is still on CNN too.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah. Actually, he was suspended, and then he brought him back. And ever since they brought him back, I could not look at him the same way anymore.
There's a whole list of people on Reddit and other places where it's one thing when you're at work. I feel like when you're at work, you're in the zone. You hang up the phone and all that. It's so many people have got caught on video and phone saying some stuff they ain't supposed to say, whether it was sexist, racist, homophobic, or all kinds of stuff because they're in the comfortability of their own home. Oh yeah. So once they hang up the call, they go back to being whoever they were, and it's like, oops. Hey, you're not. How many times have you heard this? You're not muted.
Yes. Turn your camera off.
I'm gonna tell a story that happened to me. I had to go work in Demopolis, Alabama, and for people who haven't met me, I've gotten used to people. My mom used to call me white boy when I was little. And so sometimes on the phone, you may not
get off him, Larry.
Listen, I've been told over the phone that sometimes people don't know I'm black. Okay. That's a whole story I don't want to get into because it angers me.
Well, you go into your phone voice.
I had to send this girl a picture one day because she thought I catfished her. Because she said, you're not black, you're white. And I had to send her a picture. But anyway, so I had to go work in Demopolis, Alabama. And I'm on a conference call talking about the things that we're going to do when we get down there. And one of the guys, I guess he got comfortable with me because we're joking around. He says, hey, when you come, you're not going to bring any of those lazy black people with you, are you? And then I said, well, sir, I'm black. And then all you heard was, one person has left the conference call. I said, I wonder who that was. So when I got down there, I could not find that guy to save my life. I wasn't going to fight him or anything. I just wanted to be funny.
But you know what? I was told a long time ago when I was younger, when the operator puts you on hold always mute yourself, because they're always recording you to see if you're going to say something. Because say, for instance, you have a bill and you about to lie about why you can't pay this bill. Can't pay this bill. They're listening to see if you give it up so that they can say, well, no, we're not going to do this for you. So I've learned a long time ago as a kid, mute yourself so that they cannot hear your conversations, because people have gotten caught in lies. People have gotten caught. Even cops have caught people just based off of a phone call where they thought they were on hold, but the call is being recorded. The call is being recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tila Cole, Work From Home 101. Pay attention.
The call is being recorded. That's why they tell you that.
You could have a problem with a company based on, say, a previous phone call, and you call them back and they say, oh, well, we have no record of that. Hey, listen to the recording.
Exactly.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. And then they deny they have it.
Right.
You said I was being recorded.
It's conveniently our system was down that day.
That is so true.
Yeah, right.
You're so right.
Well, now we're getting on customer.
So now they've changed the lingo to this call may possibly be recorded.
May possibly.
May possibly be recorded.
Then you got to get on social media and handle it that way. But another issue.
Larry wants to talk about this social media so bad, Lynn. Larry wants to talk about this social media. You don't go to social media 4 times now.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
You know what? I'm about to change the name of this show with the Friday Nights with the Crew, because we have a topic, but then we get to giggling and talking about all kinds of other stuff, and it's just funny. It's just funny.
Friday. My perspective with the crew, right?
Friday night fights. Friday night fights.
Friday night fights. I like that.
Oh yeah, we can't trademark that because that's already being used.
No, we can't. Stop trying to get us demonetized. I swear. The 2 biggest things I have to take away from this is I'm on board with Lynn about the amount of money you don't spend. And some people don't work 15 minutes from their job. There are people that had to commute 20, 30, 40 minutes. There's people that live 15 minutes from their job, but because of traffic, it's an hour and a half commute. So people like that, it is a great benefit.
Right.
There's certain jobs you just can't have from home. Like your plumber can't work from home. You can't fix my stuff over the internet.
He's gonna put you on a Zoom call and show you how to do it.
He's just gonna train you how to do it. I mean, he's gonna charge you to teach you how to do it.
Oh no, I'm good. That's why I moved out of a house back into an apartment. I just pick up the phone and call maintenance. I ain't got to spend no more money anymore.
I get it.
Wow. I think Lynn, you was about to say something.
I was going to say that, part of my takeaway, my last comments relate to working from home is wonderful when it works for you, when it works for your employer, but when you work from home, do remember, my challenge to you is to remember there is an outside world. Find a way, force yourself. It's part of what I did during Panorama, was I said, I can't be here. I already work from home, and now I have to be here more because I can't go other places. The least I did that turned out to be the best I could do for myself was find outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Larry, I got one.
Outdoors, all of that. So, do for your mental health and physical health while you do for your economic health.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lynn. I do have a question for you, Larry. Do you believe that working from home creates overdependence on technology? Perfect example. I need to send you an email, right? This is pretty much a far left right example, but I need to send you an email about a function that you need to be a part of. Your internet goes out, your everything goes out, and I'm sitting up there, it's like, I don't know how to get in contact with this person. Well, let's just say that your cell phone went out. there's other ways to. Well, I can't say your cell phone went out because how many people here got landlines? But there are some people that have landlines, so your cell phone goes out. Like, do you believe that people will be over dependent on technology to get their job done?
Personally, no. I don't want to digress to the younger generation with the electronics and stuff like that. But, personally, sometimes I need to call my daughter in to show me how to do some of that stuff. And I'm not overly dependent on, electronics or the high tech stuff. I am old school, I guess, but I just never got into that. I believe there are certain things going on right now in the world that create people that are overly dependent on it. Some people can't get through the day without their electronics and their gadgets. I'm just not personally like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a thing depending on who you were or where you were. Like when cell phones first came around and only people with certain jobs in certain companies that could afford to have it, they had to live by those things. They had them in the car. They had like the doctors and lawyers who had beepers. So it's just relative to the time. Hell, I'm old enough to remember when I couldn't get nothing done because I'm waiting on somebody's fax that didn't come in, because I didn't get this fax. I can't. How many times did you have to do something and an insurance company or somebody says, well, here's our fax number, fax it to us. No, we didn't get the fax.
So this now, still now happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've always had, since humans learned to do things, we've had an overdependence of our tools and our advantages that we've been given at every stage of our existence.
Well, I tell you, like, a year or two ago, the company I worked for, they gave me a bag phone because I didn't want one installed in my car. But, you never used the damn thing because it ran you 45 cents a minute, whether it was an incoming or outgoing phone call.
Well, there were people who could afford it, so they did. What I was getting at is you're always going to use, no matter what generation, you're going to use what's technologically an advantage to you. Back in the day, if I told you, hey, you could walk and drop this mail off, or here's a horse that can pull you in the cart, which one you're going to pick? You're going to start to get in the cart because the people in the cart keep passing you by. So the lesson is you either get with the times or the times passes you by.
Or the times pass
Oh
you
my
by.
God. Story time. Oh my God. Keone.
Is your story going to be as long as your questions?
It is not.
Tequila, will you be asking them long questions? Tequila be dying inside. I be watching. All I do is look at her camera. When you go do a long question, I just be looking at her, and she be like,
I be trying not to interrupt, but when I finally get the gist of what he's trying to say, I'm like, I know what you're trying to say. So I couldn't catch it this time. I couldn't catch it.
Did you say what? Wait a minute. Hold on. Did you say?
Yeah, because if you ever notice, every time you ask a really long question, Tila always comes and goes, well, what he's trying to say is this, and she'll say it in 2 seconds.
I couldn't do it this time, though. I couldn't catch the gist this time. I was like, I just gotta listen. I don't know what he's trying to say. I can't interrupt him.
Chilla, I thought you was
I don't know that I put up with that, but hey.
Hey, Lynn puts up with the most out of everybody because Lynn sometimes will give such an eloquent, prestigious answer, and I'll come right behind her with my bullshit.
Yeah, just tear it all to pieces.
No, but you notice that I recognize it's his perspective. So
correct.
Absolutely. It's his perspective, but I'll take the props that I just got.
There you go.
Well, I do my funny BS, but there's a message in there.
Absolutely. And the important thing is that
go ahead, Lynn.
Why both their head? Why both their head turn the same way? Tila, why both of them?
Oh my
In the mess
okay.
with Friday Crew. We're in the mess. Oh Lord.
This is why we don't edit.
You know what? I forgot my question, but go ahead, Len.
You said story time, and then you said Keone.
You said story time.
You was about to tell us a story.
Oh yeah, it was a story time on something that was totally unrelated, but Keone talked about the 45 cents per minute, or somebody talked about that. And I remember 1991.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry.
Well, you know, me and Larry look so much alike. We can't confuse people. You know, I ain't got my glasses on, so you should have been able to see the
Well, I can take them off and see what we look like. You know?
Don't do it. Don't do it. But my friend, I'm not going to say his name, had one of those bag phones, Larry, and he was talking. You know, this is like 1991, 92. If you look at that, he'll know exactly what we're talking about. In 1991, we was in the military, so we was like E1, E2, E4. You know, we didn't. And he got his bill.
I was in junior high. Oh, go ahead. Continue. I thought I was muted.
He got his bill. The whole air came out my joke, but he got his bill, and his bill was $2,500. Now imagine that. Imagine how much that is when you are an E1 or E2 in 1990.
I can, along those lines, when I got out of boot camp, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but it was in the 60s. I brought home $37.50 every 2 weeks. And there ain't a chance in hell I could have paid one of them phone bills. But $37.50 for 2 weeks.
You know what? While we're talking about companies and working from home, I remember in my early 20s when
Were we talking about that?
Yeah. I remember when companies started, you know, the companies that started providing cell phones. And I worked for a company where everybody was like, oh, free cell phone. Yeah. And I didn't take it. And it wasn't mandatory. But now there's so many rules that they have in place to protect the employee. But back then, when they were giving out those cell phones, I already knew the game. They got 24-hour access to you now. So they would get calls at 9 p.m. Hey, those reports weren't done. 10 p.m. And then I'd come in the morning, I was like, man, they were really bugging us last night. They didn't bug me. I don't have a company cell phone.
I know that's right.
Here at 5 o'clock, I am done. They don't do that now, but there were a lot of things put into place. But man, in the beginning of that, they were wearing some people out.
Well, see, I never had that issue really because it was a company phone. And like I said, you got charged whether the call was incoming or outgoing.
Oh,
and you had to pay for it, or did that company pay for it?
That's a company.
No, you paid for it because you took the phone.
What?
Oh, no, it wasn't like that.
This should be paying for a company phone.
No. This was, said a few years back.
This was back in the day.
A few years back.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I worked for NCR Corporation that was taken over by AT&T. So figure that one out.
I remember NCR.
Yeah. Jesus, yeah, and then AT&T did a takeover. So then you got your phones.
Mm-hmm.
But they made it. You got to where you just didn't answer your phone.
I bet
so basically, they paid you to pay them back.
Oh yeah.
Well, we didn't have that. They paid for the phone. They paid the bill. But if the bill was outrageous and they did an inventory of your calls, like they expected people to make a call or two, but you didn't run that darn bill up, you'd be in trouble. But my whole point was, I knew they would have they'd have access at all times because you had to answer. If your boss is calling, you had to answer. But if you didn't have the phone, you didn't have to answer.
Right.
But you had that same problem carrying a pager too.
Huh?
Said you had that same problem carrying a pager too.
Oh, the only reason why I had a pager is so I could type in 8008. That was all.
You boy.
Wow.
Lord Jesus.
Oh my God! I was a kid. I was a boy. Like, come on.
Hey, Keone, you know what the issue is? That whoever's looking at this gonna be like, well, what does that mean?
I'm glad we the only ones who may know in the older generation.
Also, another issue is I feel like I'm the only one sometimes that like to admit to the stupid stuff I did. Everybody acts like they didn't do nothing stupid. Not saying you guys here. I'm just saying people in general had like the most pristine life
We've all done some
No.
of these. It's all part of growing up, learning process.
Growing up, what's that?
Oh, God, Jesus. I
You
forget.
know,
who I'm
I
talking
would
to.
say to folks, and I've admitted this out loud, it's like anybody can take it whichever way you want. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, got it in a couple of colors, got the hats and other accessories. So
That's it.
Lynn, I got the tassels. So
you got what?
Don't
I got
do
the tassels.
you do
I got the tassels. So.
Oh my word! You just had to.
Hey, so we are.
No, seriously, Larry. I was a stripper. Larry, I was a stripper one time. Larry.
Oh God! Don't do
I
it.
worked for 7 hours.
My virgin ears.
You've got this. You're on your third marriage. Ain't no virgin ear in that. I was a stripper. I worked for 7 hours, and I made.
Annie in the military, bro.
I made $3.82, and that's why I changed professions.
Well,
you had to wear. Pay for.
You had to wear tassels and a thong, didn't you?
No, I didn't wear the thong. That's where I went wrong.
Well, see, there you go.
Okay, so we are headed.
Well, we're still on the air. I want to see you swing your tassels around.
Don't do it, good Lord. We can't do it.
Larry, don't make you leave your wife and be on your fourth marriage.
Don't do it.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you are hearing this now,
that is definitely a job you can do from home, people.
They do it. It's called OnlyFans.
Hey, you can get paid on Zoom, get you 30 customers and work it out.
Should you just have tuned in the last 10 minutes? You may not be aware.
PSA on one job that you can do from home.
This is not the topic.
Yeah, see, you do that from home, Keone. How do you get paid?
You gotta pay before you eat.
What you talking about? Cash
you pay before you
view. Come on.
PayPal.
Yes. Okay, so I am going to I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Did you give us your final thoughts, Sean? Or is that your story?
No, it's not my story.
I told you don't be on his ass today, Tila. You just couldn't help it.
I haven't. I've done really well.
Yeah,
you know what? So we want to get the final thoughts of our topic. And our topic is working from home more beneficial for employees? It's not hot topic.
He's so rattled.
Hot topic.
He's a hot topic.
I ain't impressed with y'all.
So
or companies.
Start talking about tassels. And Larry wanted to see.
Lynn has that face on. I'm sure this is not what she's thinking, but her face says like, I had other shit to do today and I came here.
Oh man. Okay, so we're gonna go around the horn.
Oh, you know Lynn gets irritated when you get off topic. Lynn be the first person to get irritated when we go off topic.
Exactly. So Tila, please give me your final perspective about working from home.
Working from home isn't for everyone. You have to find what works for you. Some people are good at it, so do it. If not, find a place that works for you. When it comes to companies, you can't say that a person can't do it. It could be about your training, but you find your space, But remember, if you work from home, you still got to have some outside things to do, whether it's entertainment or whatever. Just because you're working from home, I mean, you have to be at home all day, 24/7. So whatever works for you, the bottom line is going to be met regardless at the end of the day, because it's budgeted at the beginning of the year.
Thank you, Tila. Keone, your final perspective, please.
Well, working from home can be pretty darn cool, not having to commute. I moved around the corner from my job, not knowing the panorama was going to happen. So I could have got a cheaper apartment, but I love the place that I live. The most important thing that like Tila and all of us have been saying is make sure you take care of yourself. One of the things that you don't realize is you cannot stare at this computer screen all day. People who don't have migraines develop migraines, all kinds of things. So really big on the health aspect of that. And if you are working from home and you got to be on video, put some clothes on you, baby. Don't have your baby run around in the background with a pamper that needs to be changed 3 hours ago, please. Because I saw that. Not good. Not good.
Not a good look.
Thank you, Keone. Lynn, do you want to add anything to what you said earlier?
No, I was just going to say, picking up from where I said earlier, what I said earlier, ditto.
Mm-hmm.
Same thought.
Gotcha.
If you don't know what she said, rewind.
Rewind before the nonsense.
Larry, please.
She said before the nonsense. Oh wow. Before we lost it.
No, I think working from home has its benefits, you know, if you're disciplined enough to do it. Now, I know when I did it, you know, during breaks, I wore out my Atari, the joysticks playing Pong, you know, but don't look at me like that, Keone.
Pong?
You don't know what Pong is? Yeah. No, you get little joysticks on the Atari.
Yeah, and the thing goes like this.
No, but anyhow, I mean, bottom line is, I enjoyed working from home. I happened to live in Ohio at the time, and I didn't like getting out in the snow. So that gave me an opportunity to not do that. So, you know, I thought it was great. I did that. You know, there was plenty to do, and I enjoyed it.
Exactly. And my final thoughts on this is that working from home have helped people, and it has pretty much exposed who you really are. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If you can do it, you can do it. That's enough said on what I'm going to say for tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, looking at our beautiful team. Please like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Hey,
Comment below.
Yeah.
Sean, aren't you in a big project coming up? Are you doing something fun this weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, I am.